Hey everybody, I'm here with Josh at Atlas Title and Nate at FirstFunding, Matt Coles with Plaza Home Mortgage. So what we're talking about right now is the practicality of after hours closing. This is one of the things that I struggle with, Josh, if you don't mind, is tell me what happens practically when I close after hours. What happens with the keys? Who gets paid? When does it record? Let's just talk a little bit about that.
Sure. So an after hours funding takes place. It could be on a weekend or it could be during the evening. We as a title insurer need to ensure that there are funds available to be able to hand off to the lender to ensure that the buyer actually gets the keys and the seller is able to hand them off. And doing this after 5 o'clock or doing this on a Saturday and Sunday has been interesting over the years up until recently. Once we FirstFunding, FlexClose with Nate Clear has made this process go much smoother and much easier for us as the escrow company. And it's a big deal for our real estate partners and lenders that are looking to get those funds and get those people moved into their homes.
Excellent. So yeah, and Josh, when we were talking about this, there's a lot of questions around it. We've got real estate agents that are like, no, you can't do that. And we've talked about, right, that looking into the statutory requirements around funding and disbursement and recordation. And we found that it's more a custom that we find that the funding's occurring after recordation, not vice versa. And so when we look at the after hours and weekends, they're like, well, okay, cool. You've got funds there essentially 24/7 through FlexClose. But if the county recorder's office isn't open, then how can we get this done? And one of the solutions that we talked about on purchase transactions, on refinance, is not a big deal, right? After everything's been signed, dated, notarized correctly, and there's good funds, we can make that transfer occur. Not a big deal. But on the real estate side, a lot of times we see that custom showing up in the real estate contract. And so we had talked that if there was a modification to the real estate contract that would allow for both the buyer and the agreeer, right? The buyer and the seller both have to agree that, hey, we're good with the funding and disbursement of funds with recordation to follow, right? Just knowing that, hey, we're after hours on a Saturday, on a Friday, whatever the case may be, we know that the next thing that we're going to do as soon as the county recorder opens up is we're going to get that recorded. So you guys, from a title standpoint, we have good funds, right? Which is the big piece in that funding. The next piece is that we have to have a title insurer that's willing to accept that risk, which luckily Atlas is growing in the states that they're in. They have title underwriters that are willing to underwrite and insure on essentially that gap coverage for that to happen. So if we've got the buyer and the seller, they agree for it to happen, we can let the disbursement occur, right? Hand over checks to third party. Once again, like Matt says, it keeps bringing up the realtor. We get the realtor paid after hours, and we can hand over the keys.
So as with everything new, it takes a little bit of education, and that's where we just need to do a fantastic job of making sure all of our partners understand that the fact that just because it's custom doesn't mean it can't change, right? So let's make sure we put this out to the marketplace.
Yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
All right, thanks, fellas.
Thanks, Matt.